All right, so here's session 5 for lesson 5. This finishes up all of our dividing multi-digit number lessons. So let's get into the warm-up. All right, for the warm-up, we're given this problem, 4,536 divided by 42. So again, just to review, that first number in a division problem is a dividend, or it's what's being divided. So we put that in here. The second number is the divisor. It's a number that's actually dividing up the dividend. So we put that outside of our problem. So let's get started. 42 doesn't go into 4, so I put an X right there. I underline 45 to remind me if 42 can go into 45. That will go in one time. 5 minus 2 is 3. And then bring down your other 3. Now, tricky part here. 42 does not go into 33. So you've got to put something up here to represent that. So we put a 0. 42 times 0 is 0. 33 minus 0 is 33. And we have to do something with a 6, so we bring it down. And that gives us 336. So this is where we use guess and check. I've already tried that earlier, and I found that 8 works the best. This gives us 336, just like that. So we put our 8 up here, 336. And with no remainder, and we've dealt with every single number here in the dividend, so our problem's done. So our answer is 108. So your notes today are going to start on page 99, so open up to there. They've got an example at the top there that we'll just ignore for now, and we'll go straight to question 1. Question 1. So this is an interesting question. There's multiple parts to it, and let me just read it out before we get started, but you're going to use your whole workspace here for different parts of the problem. So water cooler holds 1,248 ounces of water. So go ahead and underline that in your workbook. So here's where it gets a little tricky. How many more 6-ounce glasses than 12-ounce glasses can be filled from a full cooler? So just picture you got one glass, and then the second glass is twice as big. But here's what they want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. Split this work area into 2 parts. Over in the left-hand side, write 6 ounces. Over here on the right, write 12 ounces. And since we know that the water cooler holds 1,284, that's what's being divided. So let's put that on both sides. The one on the left will be divided by 6 to see how many 6-ounce glasses we can get out of there. The one on the right will be divided by 12. Let's start with one over here on the left. 6 doesn't go into 1, but 6 does go into 12 twice. Bring down your 8. 6 goes into 8 once. And bring down your 4. And 6 goes into 24 4 times. Okay, so you get 214 glasses if you use 6-ounce glasses. You could do this, you could fully do this division here, or some of you might have already thought of this. You could realize that, hey, 6 ounces is twice, or is half the size of a 12-ounce. So it would make sense that you would get half as many glasses. So you could do half of 214. And that is, let's do this real quick over here. 14. All right, so you could say, hey, that must be 107 glasses. Let's check that out. Let's see if that's true. 12 doesn't go into 1, but 12 does go into 12 once. 12 does not go into 8, but 12 goes into 84. You guessed it, 7 times. So a couple different ways. You could have just done the full division like this, or use the idea that 6 ounces is half of 12, so half of 214 would have been 107. You could both got the same. You got the answer the same way. So just illustrating that with certain math problems, especially word problems, you can get the right answer different ways. All right, turn the page to page 100. All right, we'll do the same. Number 2. All right, so again, we're ignoring all this partial quotient stuff. Not even going to worry about this. Each student needs 35 craft sticks. Underline that for an art project. The art teacher has 7,140 craft sticks. So we can just set that up already. 7,140 craft sticks divided between 35 sticks per kid. So let's start solving this one. 35 does not go into 7. 35 does go into 71. It's because 35 times 2 is 70. Bring down your 4. 35 does not go into 14, so we put a 0. Now, bring down your 0, because we want to divide out every number we have here. And let's try some numbers with 35. Let's try 4. I'm picking 4 because I know 4 times 5 is 20. I know the number we need is 140, which starts with a 0 and the 1s. So it made sense to me that you start with a 4. 4 times 3 is 12 plus a 2, 40. And every student, or this will, all right, so 204 students can get enough craft sticks to do the project. So there's our answer for that one. Moving on to question 3. Shouldn't be in there. All right. Harrison, I like this problem because it's going to help illustrate something I keep mentioning. So Harrison creates balloon animals for different events. I also like balloon animals. He has 6,440 balloons. He wants to use the same number of balloons for each of the 28 events. So we got 6,440 balloons, and he has 28 events to go to. So it's pretty simple to set that up. Take your total amount of balloons and divide them by how many events he's going to attend. So 28 does not go into 6. Let's see how many times it goes into 64. Let's try 2. Yep, that looks good. Because again, it's important to make sure the first number you start out with is as high as you can get it without going over. So bigger on the bottom, so we have to borrow from over here. So we got an 8, bring down a 4. Okay. And let's do 28 times 3. Okay. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's bring down 0. Most kids would stop at this step because they get a big old 0 right here. And they think, oh, well, I must be done. I'm going to choose 23 as my answer. However, if you look right here, in the ones place of our dividend, we still have a 0 we've not done anything with. So we have to bring that down. And 28 goes into 0 times. So our actual answer is 230. So he can use 230 balloons at each event. And the reason I like this problem is they even set up a scenario where the student named Tina chose A. She chose 23 because she did not go all the way and get rid of this 0 at the end here. So that's why often students will do that. They'll miss that last 0 or that last digit if they end up with a 0 while they're calculating the problem. So watch out for that. All right. Let's look at number 4. on page 101. Mr. Kovich writes the problem 32 times triangle, what the heck's going on there, equals 1,696 on the board. So what this is basically, again, an introduction to what algebra is, which you'll do later on in middle school, where that symbol will represent a number. In this case, I'm going to write above the problem here. These numbers are factors in the multiplication problem, and this number right here is the product. And we can use division to find what that triangle symbol stands for. Again, multiplication, division are what they call inverse operations, so they kind of undo each other. So we're going to use division to undo this multiplication problem and find out what that other factor is. Let me show you how to do that. Take your product, which in this case is going to be our dividend, and then take the factor we know, which is 32, because we know the divisor here multiplied by whatever the quotient's going to be is going to give us that dividend. So when you check your multiplication problems, your quotient and your divisor are actually factors, and then your dividend is actually like the product. So that's how they're related. So it's just good to know for that. Let me erase that because that looks bad. Jeez, my poor eraser. Okay, so let's figure out what we're going to do with this. All right, 32 is not going to 1. Certainly doesn't go into 16. So we're going to have to find out how many times it goes into 169. So let's try out some numbers here. 5 looks good. 15. Okay, 5 works. 160. 9 minus 0 is 9. Bring down your 6. And it's 32. I know is 696 right there. 53. And that is your answer. So what they're basically saying is your triangle is going to be represented by 53, even though that sounds weird that we're talking symbols, but let's look. 32 times 53 will equal 1,696. Again, like when we check our problems, our division problems, we multiply those two numbers outside of the house, aka the divisor and quotient, to get our dividend. And let's do one more problem. Okay, let's do number 6. All right, Lisa's camera. So I'm gonna finish with this one because I think it's interesting how they ask this. Lisa's camera has 2,048 megabytes of memory for storing pictures. So it's like if you have a little card that's inside it, it stores everything. She's already used half this amount. So I'm thinking already this is going to be a 2-part question, but let's read the rest. A high quality picture uses 16 megabytes of memory. How many high quality pictures can she store with the remaining memory? So let's underline 2,048 megabytes of memory and underline 16 megabytes of memory. Those are for the high quality pictures. But don't disregard this part. Anytime you see a sentence in a word problem that seems out of place or seems very specifically placed, pay special attention to that. She already used half of this memory, so split your workspace into 2 parts. Let's take that memory, 2,048, and if she's used half, we divide it by 2. So let's do 2, 0, bring down your 0. 2 goes into 0 0 times. Bring down your 4. 2 goes into 4 twice. Bring down your 8. And that goes in just like that. Okay. So she has 1,024 megabytes left. So let's do part 2. That's how much she has left in the camera. Whoops. Let's put the wrong number here. Okay. And she wants to just take high quality pictures the rest of the way. So those are 16 megabytes each. So let's divide it by 16. All right, let's find out how many pictures she can take with her camera. 16 is not going to 1. 16 does not go into 10. 16 can fit into 102. Let's try some numbers here. Let's try a 6. It's not magic that I figure these out in the first try. I do them ahead of time. So some of you are going to have to just try some numbers out with your divisor and see what you get. Okay. All right, so bigger on the bottom, so we have to borrow, but we have a 0 here. So we're going to have to actually go over here to borrow. And then once that gives that sum, that changes this to a 9, changes this to a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 9 minus 9 is 0. Bring down your 4. And 16 times 4 gives us 64. Look at that. So she can do 64 pictures, high quality pictures. And we're going to skip the math journal question. Let's get rid of that. I didn't get rid of my ink. Oh dear. For those of you that stuck with me this far. But I will show you your IXL next. Once my smart ink starts to work again. There we go. All right, so skip 8. All right, your homework is D21, complete the division sentence. Listen, that question, the questions in this IXL activity are going to be just like the one with Mr. Kovich and his magical triangle, where you're going to have to just use some use different techniques to find that missing digit. So once you get it, you'll be able to handle it. None of those questions have any remainders, so it's pretty easy to do that way. But do get a hold of me if you have any questions.